fraud cases, exploitation. The saga continues of the Whittakers. I'm your friendly host, gracious host, YJ. And let's just start from here. Since my last video, it's been a lot. I could break down videos. I'm not gonna do that right now. This is just strictly gonna be commentary right now. Fraud. What is fraud in West Virginia? There's different types of fraud. In West Virginia, fraud is generally defined as depriving someone of money, property, goods, or services through fraudulent representations or false pretenses. This is a broad definition. Very broad definition. It can include many specific acts, such as making false statements on an application for medical assistance. There's so many types of fraud: credit card fraud, computer fraud, financial fraud, deceiving someone for personal or financial gain, often through false pretenses or promises to obtain money, property, or services. This can include tactics like false advertisement or elaborate scams. Financial fraud, deceiving someone for personal or financial gain. I want everybody to please take the emotion out of this situation for a second and ask yourself, and this is to the ones who have really been watching and keeping tabs on what is being presented. Have you seen Patrick and or Eric deceive the Whittakers for personal or financial gain? This is the question. For it to fall under financial fraud, have you seen someone, Patrick and or Eric, deceive, keyword, deceive the Whittakers for personal or financial gain? When I first heard that, I'm like, financial gain is personal if it's for you. So, but I guess just maybe, deceiving someone for personal gain would be for what? Views? That's like personally on your channel to deceive someone. As this has grew into a whole YouTube community at this point, as these things tend to do, and over time, if it continues, it will get messier and messier between the content creators themselves, and not even be talking about the Whittakers at a certain point. If it continues, I've already seen it start with what's his name, Watson, and uh, the lady, I forget her name. Channels like Everybody something something, I forget. Bong bong bong. She's got that intro. I forget. Um, but back to what I was saying. Uh, have you seen this? Don't go off of emotion when it comes to classifications of what fraud is, because the letter of the law is the only thing that holds up. That's the only thing they're going to be looking for. They're not going to be looking for, they're not coming from an emotional standpoint, the law. The law is the law. The law's for the lawless. It's very cut and dry with something like this. I don't think it's going to take them too long to figure it out, but it is going to take some time because there is some things that have to be seen. Now, penalties for fraud: misdemeanor. First offense for fraudulent official proceedings is a misdemeanor. Other forms of fraud are considered felonies in West Virginia, particularly when the value obtained exceeds a certain threshold of $1,000. Felony convictions can result in substantial fines and lengthy prison sentences. Intentional deceit to gain money, property, services, and or benefits at someone else's expense is the core of fraud in West Virginia. West Virginia code 613-24D. Any person who willfully deprives another of any money, goods, property, or services by means of fraudulent pretenses. I'm just really just giving information right now, and I really don't have. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this, right? I could never talk about the Whittakers every single day of my life. There's never going to be a period that I talk about the Whittakers every single day of my life, right? I think I have 8 videos or maybe 9 videos spanning back a year and a half or something like that. So you're never going to get that out of me. Don't expect it from me. Don't expect it from me. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. It's very interesting what I see though with this whole situation and the fallout. Eric and Patrick and the things that have gone on. Who do I feel like is more in the hot seat with this investigation? Hypothetically, if that's the question right now, who is more in the hot seat when it comes to this investigation? Who is it? Is it Patrick or Eric? By default, Eric is more in the hot seat. And part of that has to do with simple locale, logistics, right? They're looking for fraud. I can almost guarantee they're not going to look, they're going to look into Patrick, but I can almost guarantee that with the words that Betty and Larry are saying about Eric as of late, let's just stick to as of late, that Eric's going to be more on the hot seat. Now, I said as of late because just a month ago, the tune was different. As we know, Betty, she can go with the wind, as some would say. So, with that being said, with Patrick still being around, still being there, still being active, yes, I do think there will be finger pointing, but I would hope that the investigation is not done off of word of mouth. I would hope the investigation is done by viewing. If we start going to some of these videos, because I mean, I got the links for a lot of videos. If I start going back to certain links to these videos and I'm finding that things are getting removed, things are on private, links aren't there anymore, error 404s, this link does not exist. If I start going back and noticing that different videos are being deleted, it will trigger a cat and mouse that's going on where we know the investigation is gonna look into this, or I would hope that investigation would come just by viewing like everybody else, because that's the most plausible character witness in this. Is not any person's word that is in it, but the actual what is there. You got one side, he say. You got 2 side, she say. You got 3 side, they say. I don't know, but you see what I'm saying though. When it comes down to it, the investigation has to happen through YouTube, through Facebook. You can't just go to Betty and ask her questions and put someone in jail and bring someone to court. You can't just ask Patrick dot 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 bring someone to jail. You can't just ask Eric dot 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 take him to jail. You can't ask Larry to neither. You cannot do that. This cannot be handled like that. This has to be handled with looking, viewing. I can guarantee this, just to switch topics as I'm on spinning. I can guarantee that some of you in the audience on Facebook or any other of the 5 platforms, how many platforms they got, I can guarantee you that some of the people who called the police, some of the people that called APS are sitting and watching this video right now in the audience. And they'll have their reasons as to why they did what they did. Just as there's people who've donated who are watching right now. Yeah, man. It's gonna boil down to what you can prove. Saddest part is the big 3, Timmy, Lorraine, Ray, are not with their family any longer. And I see comments that say they hate for them to, what's that? Be broken up. But they're glad that Ray will have a clean pair of pants, underwear that isn't soiled. So it's tough, man. It's tough. And I'm not crying. I got something in my eye. Chill. It's just something in my eye. Just chill. They're gonna eat that up. But financial fraud, there's many different types of fraud. I think financial fraud is the only one that really you can maybe say if they're gonna pursue anything, it would be financial fraud. There's no medical assistance fraud. There's no insurance fraud. It's not. It's financial fraud. It's money. Deceiving. For all of the people who hate Eric to death. And there's the other people that hate Patrick to death. When you watch all of those videos from Eric, from Patrick, Whittakers family, WV, Facebook, all of these videos, right? When you watch them and when the investigators watch them, do you think that the investigators will say, oh, wow, they're deceiving that family? And I'm really speaking to this side of it because the other side of it is the receipts and the what can you prove and paperwork and digital receipts. And that's the other side. But this is the side I'm talking about right now. Because things have been documented. Do you think, this is a yes or no question, do you think that when they look, they're going to say, this family's being deceived when they watch? And honestly, let's just cut the shit now. These people are in West Virginia. There's people who know about this family in Ireland. How many of these investigators do you think already know who the Whittakers are, for one? And if they don't, their coworker does, for 2. So all of this being said, I'm taking everything into consideration. If there's anything that I miss, let me know it in the comment section. But I'll continue to just sit here and brainstorm. And, that's how I make my videos. I'll be back. Part of me feels like once they start investigating, who knows? They might end up and just realize this is not, let me not say that. Not that it's not worth it, but just they don't see it enough. Like they understand maybe why these calls are coming in. They'll get a bigger picture as to why they're getting all of these reports in. But legally, there has to be something there. There has to be some smoking gun. Some smoking gun out there. Questionable is not beyond a shadow of a doubt. Questionable is not proof. That doesn't hold up. I'm gonna just be honest. For charges to be brought up. This is an investigation. Let's not this that cut like let's people are talking about this like this is like Eric Carroll and Patrick Rourke charges have been brought up against Erica. That was not the headline. This is an investigation. They're investigating. I felt my calling in being Mr. Webster up here. I knew it. But West Virginia State Police are asking for the public's assistance in a fraud investigation involving a rural Raleigh County family that has become well known on social media platforms. Keywords in this. Police are asking for public assistance. I'm going to let that sit. I just talked about what and how they would procure information about the receipts and what's on social media. And the first thing I read is they're asking for public assistance in a fraud investigation, people. The Whittaker family has been featured extensively on Mark Lighter's platform, racking up millions of views. Now investigators are looking into allegations of fraudulent donations, including money and merchandise collected for the family through Lawrence, Eric, and Patrick Rourke of Odd. Nothing much. You're not going to get much looking through here. Man, oh man. So they're asking everybody out there to do this. And the only way they can do it is if they sent money and they don't have a receipt for it. This whole shit is stupid. You're basically investigating a fraud scheme, supposedly, allegedly, that involves money and merchandise being sent to the Whittaker family. Now, this is the sticky thing about it, right? Because nobody in the Whittaker family can run a Facebook, has run a YouTube, has run a GoFundMe. They are not competent enough to run their own social media. If they were, there would be no need for a Mark. There would be no need for, and they didn't ask to be fucking celebrities. Let's just cut the shit. So to say a fraud scheme that involves the money and merchandise being sent to the Whittakers family, how could anything ever be sent to the family if they never opened up a Facebook? So does that mean all the donations that were sent, all of it was fraud? Hold on now. I think I'm cooking. But I think I'm not, because none of the money they would have seen nothing without them two, without Mark. So what, we gonna investigate Mark now too? Hold on, this shit getting weird. It's getting weird. It's getting weird for a few reasons. Because for there to be fraud to occur, they would have had to come on here and say any and everything that y'all send or that we make, everything's going to the family right now. As of now, everything's going to the family. I never heard that. Eric was transparent enough. I don't care what you think about Eric. He was transparent enough that it's gonna make the investigation hard. I think that's just my opinion. It's gonna make the investigation a little bit different, a little bit hard, because all the documentation he did. Bing, 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 bing. That's the reason why they need the public to do what they're doing. If they had their smoking gun, do you think they would be asking the public for any fucking thing? No, they would not be asking the public for shit if everything they needed was on these videos and Facebook posts. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Switching gears. I'm going to say this. The state is already involved. APS, Protective Services, they're involved. The criminal aspect is then inserted. Who do you think, if they're asking the public for assistance on this case, who do you think they've already gone to? Bingo. Correct. You're a smart person. I see you watching. You're a smart person. They're going to go to APS. We know all the dealings that Eric had with APS. Protective warrant, this, that. Believe me, the investigators have the information. So all the questions I'm asking, as far as this, that, the other, all these little incidents, Airbnb this, Airbnb that, dog shit on the floor, snuff on the pillow, they know everything. They know everything. Don't be surprised. I repeat, as I know the people, yeah, I repeat, don't be surprised if this does not end up in any charges. I'm going to just say that. As far as an update, don't be surprised if after this initial story that we're seeing from these 4 or 5 different WDTV, WVNS, WCHS, all these with these little bitty midget articles, don't be surprised if neither one of these have an update. These different media outlets in West Virginia. I'll even say, if they don't have charges, you may not hear. I'll just say that. May not hear for a while. If there's no charges. Because if there's no charges, there's no case. I bid you adieu. YJ, going back to my regular content. Bye.